You know something? I've driven 4 presidents, 12 millionaires, and countless celebrities in this car, but none of them ever asked about my family." 65-year-old taxi driver Edward Kim spoke without taking his eyes off the road. The disheveled young man sitting in the back seat said, "May I ask? Tell me about your family." Edward's eyes welled up. "My wife, Linda, was diagnosed with cancer. I have 5 grandchildren, but..." Edward could never have guessed that this disheveled young man would arrive at his door 24 hours later with a team of 50 people and gift him the retirement he had been dreaming of. It was a rainy September evening in Boston. Edward Kim was nearing the end of his 16-hour shift. As raindrops danced rhythmically on the car's window, he decided to pick up one more passenger. A notification came through on the taxi app. He accepted immediately. 5 minutes later, a young man with messy hair and ordinary clothes soaked from the rain got into the taxi. "Hey, where are we headed?" Edward asked kindly. "Actually, there's no specific place," said the young man. "I just want to drive around Boston a bit, see the city. It might take a couple of hours. Is that a problem?" Edward smiled. "No problem at all. My shift is about to end, but I can extend it a little. Thank you, I'm Jimmy, and you?" "Edward Kim. Everyone calls me Eddie." As Edward set the taxi in motion, Boston's skyline, lit up with lights, greeted them. The rain had intensified now, but the inside of the car was warm and comfortable. "How long have you been a taxi driver, Eddie?" Jimmy asked. "It's been exactly 38 years," Edward said in a voice mixing pride and weariness. "I was 27 when I came here from South Korea. I worked in a factory at first, then got my taxi license." "That's a long time," said Jimmy. "You must have met a lot of people." Edward looked at his young passenger through the rearview mirror. "You know something. I've driven 4 presidents, 12 millionaires, and countless celebrities in this car, but none of them ever asked about my family." A look of genuine interest appeared on Jimmy's face. "May I ask? Tell me about your family." Edward's face lit up for a moment, then his eyes filled with tears. "My wife, Linda, was diagnosed with cancer last year. I have 5 grandchildren, but I have very little time to see them. My older son, David, lives in California. My younger son, Michael, is here in Boston, but he works 2 jobs to support his own family." Jimmy nodded understandingly. "That must be hard." "That's life," said Edward. "Linda's treatment cost more than we thought. Our insurance doesn't cover all the expenses. I was planning to retire, but now, I don't know how many more years I'll have to work." As Edward and Jimmy continued to drive through the streets of Boston, the rain started to ease. When they passed by Fenway Park, Edward spoke in a voice full of nostalgia. "When my sons were little, I used to bring them here to watch games. Tickets were expensive even then, but it was worth it. Michael loved playing baseball. Once, I worked 3 extra weeks to buy him an autographed baseball glove." Jimmy asked curiously, "So, what does Michael do now?" "Michael is 35 now, working at an accounting firm. But his real dream was always to open his own small sports store. He's still paying off his college debts. He also has twin daughters. They're 4 years old." "And you, Eddie? What's your dream?" Jimmy asked. Edward paused for a moment, as if no one had asked him this question in years. "Me? I want Linda to get better, and I want to travel with her a bit, rent a cabin in Maine, take our grandchildren with us, go fishing, spend time together. Simple things, you know." "Have you ever thought about buying that cabin?" Edward laughed. "Oh, that would be too luxurious for me. I'd be lucky if we could even rent one." As the journey continued, Edward shared more stories from his life. He talked about the difficulties he faced when he first came to America, the challenges of raising his children, how he met Linda. Jimmy mostly listened, occasionally asking questions. "What about you, Jimmy?" Edward finally asked. "What do you do?" "I'm a content creator," Jimmy said simply. "I make videos." "Oh, like on YouTube?" "My grandchildren are always watching stuff there. I don't understand how it works at all." Jimmy smiled. "Yes, like YouTube? Is there good money in that?" "For some, there is," Jimmy said modestly. "I'd say I'm lucky." The 2 hours passed quickly. Edward dropped Jimmy off at a luxury hotel in downtown. "How much for this ride?" Jimmy asked. "The meter says $180, but let's make it $150 for you," said Edward. Jimmy handed Edward $300 from his wallet. "Please, keep the change. It was a wonderful evening, thank you, Eddie." Edward was surprised. "This is too much." "It's not," said Jimmy. "Thank you for your stories. You're truly an inspiring person." Edward thanked him with tears in his eyes and handed Jimmy his business card. "If you come to Boston again, call me. I'll give you a special tour." Jimmy took the card and thanked him. "I'll keep this, Eddie. See you soon." At 9 o'clock the next morning, there was a lot of activity in front of Edward Kim's modest home. As Edward and Linda were having breakfast, the doorbell rang. "Who could it be at this hour?" Linda murmured. When Edward opened the door, he was breathless with surprise. Standing in front of him was the young man he had driven in his taxi last night, but this time he had a large team and cameras with him. "Hello, Eddie," said Jimmy with a smile. "I'm Jimmy Donaldson, but people know me as MrBeast." Edward looked in astonishment. "MrBeast? Linda," he called inside. "This is the YouTuber our grandson is always talking about." Linda also came to the door, equally surprised. "Thank you for the great journey last night," said Jimmy. "Your story touched me deeply and I want to give you something." Jimmy handed Edward an envelope. Edward opened it with trembling hands, and when he saw the check inside, his knees weakened. This. "It's for Linda's treatment and your retirement," said Jimmy. "You can stop working now, Eddie." Linda burst into tears when she saw the check. "This can't be real." "There's more," said Jimmy. "That cabin in Maine you mentioned? We bought it for you. You don't have to rent anymore, it's yours." Edward and Linda hugged each other, both in shock and in tears. "And one more thing," said Jimmy, sending a message from his phone. "Now!" At that moment, a car pulled up, and Edward's son Michael, his wife, and twin daughters got out of the car. Behind them came his older son David and his family from California. "Dad," Michael called out, running to hug his father. "Jimmy called us last night. He told us everything." Edward couldn't hold back his tears as he hugged his sons and grandchildren. "I don't understand. How?" "And Michael," said Jimmy, "we have something for you too." He handed over another envelope. "This is to open the sports store you've been dreaming of. You can be your own boss now." Michael opened the envelope in astonishment and gasped when he saw what was inside. "This is incredible. Thank you." "Why?" asked Edward, still unable to believe what was happening. "Why are you helping us?" Jimmy smiled. "Because you've served people for 38 years, Eddie. You've safely transported thousands of people. You've driven 4 presidents, 12 millionaires, and countless celebrities. But you're no less valuable than any of them. You're a real hero of ordinary people who live with their dreams and loves." Edward, Linda, their sons, and grandchildren all hugged Jimmy. As the cameras recorded this emotional moment, neighbors who had gathered around started to applaud. 3 months later, Edward and Linda were hosting the entire family at their cabin in Maine. Linda's treatment had been successful, and she was in the recovery process. Michael's new sports store had opened and was doing well. Edward was now actively retired and had started writing his long-postponed memoirs, 38 Years of Memories of a Taxi Driver. The video, "I Changed a Taxi Driver's Life," posted on Jimmy's YouTube channel, had reached 50 million views. Comments praised how touched they were by Edward's story and Jimmy's generosity. As Edward sat by the lakeside with Linda, with their grandchildren running around, he looked at his phone, thinking about the message he would write to Jimmy. "Jimmy," he finally wrote, "you made my dream come true, but more importantly, you showed me that you don't have to be famous or important to do great things. The most important thing in life is how you treat everyone you encounter. I remembered this every day in my taxi, but you showed this to the world. Thank you." Jimmy replied almost instantly, "No, Eddie, I thank you for sharing your life story with me." Sometimes the people who seem the most ordinary are the ones with the most extraordinary stories. And sometimes, taking the time to listen to someone's story is the most valuable thing you can do. Edward smiled as he looked at the calm lake in Maine. He also remembered Jimmy's words from his latest video. "Hey guys, let me tell you a secret today. Real wealth isn't money. Real wealth is being able to touch the lives of others. Sometimes we meet the most unexpected people at the most unexpected times. And sometimes just stopping to listen to someone's story can change two lives forever. There are millions of Edwards out there, each with a story waiting to be heard. Maybe today is the perfect time to listen to someone's story."